Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Endless Spiral podcast. You're all very welcome. I am, as always, your host, Keith Russell. On this episode, I am delighted to say that we are joined by Rory O'Connor, who is obviously, as we all know, Rory from Rory Stories. Of course, as I mentioned, Rory is well known for his comedy sketches on YouTube and social media, but he's a big advocate for mental health as well, and he has his battles with it. So we'll have a chat with Rory about that. And he's given plenty of talks on it, and along with videos for the GAA and the construction industry promoting mental health. So it's obviously something that's very close to Rory's heart. So Rory, I'll bring you in now. Thanks very much for taking the time to join us. How's it going? How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, Keith. Not too bad. Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
A bit sweaty, as you were saying.
Yeah,
this way, but not too bad. Like.
Yeah. We were just saying before we kind of started things that the heat is just incredible. Like two of us are melting sitting here, but we should be okay.
Yeah. No, you said it.
Yeah. So Rory, as I've mentioned, look, we all know about your comedy sketches on Rory Stories and stuff like that, but your mental health, you obviously have had issues with it and still do, like so many of us. Have you always had mental health struggles, or is it something that's kind of been recent, or, has it always been there for you?
I think, to be honest with you, it has been something that's always been there from a young age. So for me, I think it stems back to education, like, and going to primary school in the 90s, like, which, as you know, was a bit more of a raw establishment than it is now. And I'm very bad in school, like, you know what I mean? As in, like, I'd be pretty dyslexic and ADHD and all these normal stuff that, like, back then was just, no one talked about or no one diagnosed. So I just kind of accepted from a young age that I was stupid. Like, so I always kind of had that little seed in my mind that kind of, like, whenever I'd be doing something, like, the confidence would just drop a bit, because I'd always remember back in school, and I would have had a couple of old school teachers that kind of would have made you feel useless because of they expect everyone to learn at the same pace, etc. So self-doubt has something that I've always battled with, like, even though people like that would know me would say, like, the big, strong, confident fella, but it was actually far from that. Like, you know what I mean? I just put on this kind of act to shy away, that I just, especially in school, that I didn't want people to know I was stupid. Like, and yeah, the kind of just went from there, really, Keith, to be honest, which is where it started. Like.
Yeah. And did you feel anxious going to school?
Well, like, in the classroom, yeah, like, when a teacher would ask you to stand up and read or something, now that would be absolute torture for me and stuff like that. Like, and I was very big for my age, like, I mean, exceptionally big, so I stood out anyway. Like, so I hated, like, the fact that I was made kind of feel a bit stupid. Like, listen, there was a lot of good teachers, obviously, but there's one or two that kind of would had that old school mindset. And just, if you weren't good in school, you were destined to be useless in life, like, and that kind of, it's only really since I started Rory Stories I realized that that's far from the truth, like, and hence why I'm so passionate about, and hence why I do a lot of talks to schools and stuff like that, to reassure the Rory in the class that, this isn't a be all and end all, and these are all talented, and it's just a matter of not giving up and just keep plowing on until you find what you're good at,
Yeah. I was watching a few of your talks with the schools on YouTube, and, like, I mean, they're so good. I mean, it's gas. Like, I mean, just even listening to them, I can personally even resonate with so much of what you're saying. So I can only imagine, are these secondary schools or primary schools?
Mainly secondary, yeah. Mainly TY. So during the pandemic, as you know, we were all at home, and one school approached me saying, would I do a talk for them? They were all individually at home on their own devices. And I said, yeah, listen, why not? And then I'd done one, and then what happened was, whatever teacher must have put it on some sort of a notice board, and then the request came in, like, and there was a stage there where I was doing 3 a day, Monday to Friday, like, and it was tiring, and because you're repeating yourself. It's a half an hour talk, and it's give or take the same. And then you're generally answering the same questions after. The teenagers will generally ask the same questions. So I used to do one at 10, 12, and 2, but I knew it was really good work I was doing. Like, and I always start off the talks with, saying that I wished I heard this when I was their age in school.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would have loved them to hear, like someone that speaks that you can relate to. Do you get me? Like, so,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that all came from, Keith. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you mentioned the questions that some of the kids were asking you, you're saying that kind of a lot of them were asking the same questions. Can you remember what any of the questions were?
Yeah, like it's like, did you like school? And like, there's no point in lying. I just said no, and I know it's not what teachers want to be hearing, but it's the truth. It just didn't suit me, like, because I said I have that hyperactive personality and attention disorder. So like, if you put that into a classroom from 9 to 3 and try to learn something that they don't understand, how could you enjoy that?
Yeah.
But it's important that students hear my end of life. Like they're all used to hearing, I went to college and I got 500 points. And yeah, fair play, that's grand. But there's a hell of a lot of people that get nothing out of school. And in my opinion, what happens to them is self-doubt runs like wildfire. And all of a sudden, alcohol, drugs, gambling, all this comes into the equation because they accept that they're not good enough for life. And it's just a matter of them finding what they enjoy doing and what they're good at. And then everyone paves their way in life, like, and that's the way that's why when I do these talks, Keith, I make it clear that I'm not a professional. I don't have any degree on mental health or anything like that. I'm just giving my life experience that will hopefully help them. That's pretty much how I try to get it across, like.
Yeah, I mean, like any interviews that I've done with any media or anything about my story, I'm exactly the same. I'm not necessarily offering advice. I'm just giving my story, and if they can, some people can resonate with that or pick something up. It's it's great.
Exactly, and listen, Keith, that's what we need more of, especially Listen, like, I know we're hitting a bit of a rock again with this poxy COVID, but like. I unfortunately believe that it's only in a few years' time we're really going to see the effect of this, especially on young people. So
yeah, I agree.
It's now is if there ever was a perfect time to really normalize mental health talk and etc. It has to be now. Like, let this pandemic be the reason why we're all comfortable talking. Because how could you be feeling well when there's still uncertainty out there with work? There's uncertainty with this virus, with the variants. A lot of people were thrown into their houses for months on end. That's just not good for a human being. Like, it's no different than caging a dog in a cage. It was similar for all of us, and that's going to have effect on your mental health. And we just need. I just done a simple video the other day, and it got a massive reaction. Like, I was away in Cork myself, and it just came on me, and I knew it was coming, like, and I was like, oh, I don't believe this, like, and yeah, I had no motivation. I was trying to be happy in the moment for my kids, and my daughter was, oh, come on, we go swimming, and it took all of my mental strength to be able to put on a brave face and go and do that with her, but I just didn't feel it. And I remember one of the mornings I got up at 6 o'clock and I said, I need to go to the gym. I always try and turn to exercise, so I went down to the local gym, and it's gas. A couple of lads there going, oh, geez, Rory Stories, boy, what has you down here? And they're all in good form, which people generally are in a gym. But I was in this cage in my head, and I was just doing a few sets to try and clear it. And it kind of worked, but it didn't really clear it. But it's just horrible when you're going through them. And that's why at the start of this week, I knew I turned the corner. I'd done the gym first thing Monday morning, and I left the gym, and I just knew, lovely, this cloud is gone. And I just felt a bit of a notion to pick up my phone and just say, like, that was one take. There wasn't like, oh, I just picked up my phone and said, how are you folks? This is the crack. Yeah. And I shared it online, and like, it's actually, it's insane / encouraging, the reaction, because we're all in this, all in this same cycle together. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I love about the power of Rory Stories is it's not my post that it's all the people commenting with the similar scenarios is what I love about it. I just throw it out there and let the world then come in and give their opinion. So yes, Rory Story says this relatable thing, but you see all these hundreds and thousands of comments of people backing up what he's saying. So when you're reading the comments going, Jesus, yeah, I know Rory feels like that, but geez, a lot of people do. And I feel better about that. And yeah, so that's why it's just really good,
Yeah, well, it's amazing. Like, someone actually sent me, I know the video you're talking about because I actually have it written down. I was going to ask you about it because someone actually sent it to me. And I mean, it's only a couple of minutes long, but I mean, just even the fact that you were saying, and like, it's okay not to be okay. I mean, just something as simple as that. But like when you're feeling like that, because I get it so often myself. I mean, the simplest of tasks are torture.
Oh,
This just you can't. You just physically feel you can't do it.
yeah,
You know.
it's yeah, and again, like this is all new territory for human beings. Like, for a long time, the poor people that came before us just literally ignored it. And like I would look at them as the most mentally strong people ever, because it's no different than a man or a woman that are gay, and they're living this life with a family and for so long and went to the grave. Like, look at the generation now. Obviously, men and women are coming out in open marriages saying, I actually I'm attracted to the same sex, and I'm sorry, but I'm gone. But for hundreds of years before that, like, there was no way you were ever admitting it. And I feel so sorry for these people that had to live with this demon in their head, that they just felt it was better, one, listening to the demon every day, or two, taking their lives. I'd love to know the stats on people that took their lives over the years because of their sexuality. I'd say it's very high,
So yeah.
and also they'd rather do that than put their hand in the air and say, I actually am gay, like, but I think it's changing. The young generation is starting to change that. So
Yeah.
we're
It's a
just
generational thing.
we're talking about it, and that is
Yeah.
half the battle. Do you know what I mean? We're having this conversation about it. So, yeah, like when I get my anxiety overload or depression, I just don't want other people to feel like this. So that's why I talk about it on my social media when I'm feeling good, so that other people, because when you're going through it, like you said, Keith, there's no motivation. You're like I was away on holidays, right? The weather was lovely. People were coming up complimenting Rory Stories. They were real sound, and I was chatting to loads of people, and my career is in a good place. We got a mortgage last year. Everything should be really good, but my mind would not allow me accept that. I was constantly looking for something negative in my mind to beat me with, and that's mental health issue. And that's what it is. And I'm comfortable talking about it, but we need to get more people comfortable talking about it, because that's the only way. Like, treat depression as a friend, not an enemy. Like, if it comes, be like, oh, here you are again, but you're not going to get the better of me. I'm just going to hang in for the few days, and I know you're going to go away. And when you go away, I'll be back being myself. And that's for me again. It's just like that. It's just waves.
It's just waves. Exactly. I mean, and actually, just as you're talking there, that's something that I have. It's really helped me a lot, is to just accept it and to just embrace it. It comes on you. There's no point making yourself even worse than you already are, trying to battle it. Like a good friend of mine, he just says you just have to ride the wave. And it's true. I mean, like, sometimes you just can't do anything about it. And like, embracing has helped me like a lot.
Yeah, it's and again, like, I'm in good form today, myself. And when you are in good form, you wonder why you were ever in bad form. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And then when you're in the dark dungeon, as I call it, you think you're never going to be happy again. Like, and that's literally the way it is. So you just have to, as I said, it's just hanging there by a fingernail. You know what I mean? And I know it's difficult, but just like, my wife will just get a grunt off me. I can't even talk about it myself when I'm going through it. It's like, oh, fucking, yourself, fucking, I feel ashamed even though, like, I've talked about it for years. I still feel that's the demon though. And I don't know, like, again, I haven't done my psychological end of things, but that's just the demon. And you have to just be right. You're here. I know you're not going to be here forever. Mm-hmm. And when you do pass, I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to as it was perfect timing doing that video, because the sun was shining, but just because the sun is shining, it isn't shining in your mind. Like, do you get me? Like,
I think that might be why it resonated with so many people, was the sunshine part of it. You think, you should be in great form, but you're not always in great form. You can't talk about it.
And that's why, like, in my experience, again, I would be what I would call a streetwise mental health advocate. So, like, I never went to college, I never done any degrees. but I study human behavior. Like, I'm good, obviously, at observing things with my sketches. I'd look at stuff and I'd pick out a little video or whatever. So I do the same at mental health. So someone to me that's always in good form and always lets on, they're alarm bells to me personally. Like, no, oh no, everyone's great. Oh no, everyone's great. Like, you're a human being. Everything's not always great. So don't take off that mask the odd day and just be honest. And I've my own friends have opened up to me when I'm away down the country. I might be in a pub. A lad who I know is good crack will corner me and he'll say, Rory, you're a gas man, but fair play to you on the mental health stuff. It really, you know what I'm saying to you? And I'm like, I know exactly. Yeah, I just appreciate it. So I've done my homework on this. Like, I've seen the Jack the lad in the pub who's telling the stories. That's out of our mind, fella. And it's just like people often say, you were talking to questions for the students, Rory, how do we know signs? And I simply say we don't. Like, that's the unfortunate thing about it. Like, what we need the Rorys or the Keiths to put their hand in the air and say, I've had a mask on for too long. I actually have a lot of bad days. Can you help me? And then we can gather around this person, literally physically gather around and say, right, we have you now, pal. Yes, not every day is going to be lovely and sunny and beautiful rainbows, but I guarantee you'll be a bit happier now because you'll know what you have and you'll start to accept it, as we said, and you'll just enjoy the good days and get through the bad days,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, as you said, and it's a stigma as well, but I mean, I was silent for 25 years or something like that. I stayed silent on so much. And I think that's why my story got picked up as well because it was just, you stay silent for so long, and then all of a sudden, you start sharing it, and so many people go, "Oh yeah," and they can kind of resonate with you as well, which is brilliant. But Mira, I wanted to ask you that you mentioned about when you're not feeling great, you kind of you like to go to the gym and work out, and obviously that's what this podcast is about. So, do you turn to exercise a lot when you're kind of in the dungeon, as you call
it? So for me, I absolutely use exercise so much for everything. So for instance, right, so next month is obviously August. So my plan in my head is I will go off the drinking in August and I will train every day. And why I'm doing that is because I'm writing a new show. So I have a pilot episode in September down in Clarny, just a once-off gig, which I'm going to try out a lot of new material. And then next March, April, or May, just confirming dates, I'm going to be going on a nationwide tour. So I understand that in order for me to perform at my best in my job, I need to cut out alcohol, I need to eat well, and I need to really work out hard. And this is obviously, I didn't come up with this, as you know, like you just look at the evidence there, look at Dwayne Johnson, look at Kevin Hart, look at any of these superhuman beings. They all talk about it. Kevin Hart's documentary, like when he was in a bad place, he was working out up to 3 times a day when he went through with his missus and all that kind of whatever went on there. So like it's proven, so like I know myself, Keith, if I have something on a Monday, say midday, and I've had a few pints on a Friday night and a takeaway Saturday, and the feelings are low because of alcohol, which I understand how that works. I say, Rory, it's not an option. You have to go to the gym Monday morning at 6 o'clock. It's just I've accepted that because I know if I don't go to the gym, I'll have a crappy little extra half an hour in bed. I'll get up with the kids. I'll be already on the back foot for the day, and I'll have a breakfast and I'll have a shower, but I won't perform that day like I need to perform. So what I got to do is, it's part of my job. I have to go dog it out in the gym for an hour, or go for a 5 or 6K run at a good pace, come home, have a shower, have good breakfast, and I'm gone. So that's something like that. When I went on tour in 2019, I realized very quickly that I working out the morning of my show was literally injecting drugs into me. That's what it felt like, because I was so sharp on stage, and my energy was through the roof. So if I was to own a company, let's just say, of whatever marketing company, and I had 10 employees. Part of you being hired by me is you need to sign into a spin class every morning before you come to work for me. Like, that's what I would say to people. You can do it anytime between 6 and 8, but you got to do a half an hour before you come in that door on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because why? I know human beings perform way better when they've exercised that morning. It's a proven fact, like, because the endorphins are racing, the energy is there, your mind is sharp. So that's what but we're only learning that as Irish people. The Americans and the Australians, they've been doing this years. We're the old Irish, fall out of bed and have a bowl of cornflakes and rock on to work. But if you get up and you do a workout, you're just a different animal for the day. Like, so,
Yeah.
and again, with my mental health, when I am feeling in a dark place, I do go and I run and I exercise. Sometimes it does obviously lift the mood, but sometimes it doesn't. But it always lifts at 1%. Always,
Yeah.
and 1% sometimes can be enough to win any fight in life. Like, so that's what I tell myself. Some days, as you know, Keith, you go for a run and you get a massive feel good endorphin into the head, and you're like, oh my God, I own this day, I feel great. And some days you only feel a tiny bit better, but you still feel a little bit better. Do you get me? Like, so that's my kind of why I use exercise. And obviously, I'll be honest with you, I love food, and if I didn't work out, I'd be a big motherfucker.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, because like I said, I had a few blogs about that, kind of my unhealthy relationship with food and exercise, and I was actually going to ask you about that. What would your relationship be with food?
Very good. As in, like, but no, so again, when I'm in a good place, which I aim to be in August, my food will be good. Like, I'll have my porridge in the morning, I'll have a nice plenty of salady kind of a lunch, and I'll have a lot of veg for my dinner. And listen, a cup of tea and a biscuit, I'll never take out of my diet, because that's just what you do, like, for your little nugget. But I've no interest in a ripped six-pack. Like, listen, I'm married, I have 3 kids, we live in Ireland. Yes, it's a heat wave now, but no one cares about your six-pack. So I never go to the gym for me to look like a big ripped animal. That's never my drive. There's not even a mirror in the gym I go to. I go to the gym for one reason only: to feel good physically and mentally. If I look good physically, happy days. If I don't, I genuinely don't care. I actually have a little bit of a keg on me now from all these barbecues and a few beers in the evening. Like, but again, I lose that now when I go into my month of training in August. I'll sharpen that up. Like, so that's my relationship. But I don't torture myself with diets. Like, I just don't. Like,
so it doesn't stress you out.
Yeah, I love my food, but I know if I eat bad a couple of days in a row, it affects my mental health. Like, again, it's just something that I'm starting to understand more. And even when we run that, naturally Irish people, we go away, we order steak and chips, we order curries, we have a few pints. It's what we're on holidays, and you're entitled to. But what I learned in Cork at the time is I had 2 days in a row where I ate bad, and my head wasn't good, as I said to you. So we were out in Kinsale at a market, and there was all sorts of burritos and pizzas, lovely food, but there was just one old lady with a salad bar. And I said, fuck, I'm just going to get a salad here, because I don't, just to see. And I had a big bowl of salad, and I swear to God, I felt really good then for a couple of hours, like, physically, mentally. So, but I just wish I was more disciplined. And listen, we can all relate to that. Like, who doesn't love an old BLT and chips and all that? You know what I mean? So, but it's just knowing when you are in a dark place, just give yourself the best chance. Eat that good bit of food instead of bad. But that's the problem. When we're low, we want the pint to feel better. We want the curry to feel better. We don't want to go exercise, and that's the devil, and that's the devil advocate. That's the kind of what we deal with. You know what I mean? And it's so. Listen, it's a struggle. It's just a struggle, but we just keep going. You know what I mean? Keep going.
Yeah. And what about sports? Do you play? I mean, I like, you play a bit of don't you?
Yeah. So I would have played Gaelic football all my life. Got to a reasonably decent level at it. I would have played a lot of senior club. Played a bit with me, the underage minors and 21s and all that. And I got an eye operation back in 2013, a cornea transplant, where I was out of football for a year. And at the time, I was devastated. I spoke about it in my book, because football was the only thing I was reasonably decent at, like school, shite, work, shite, football, yeah, a bit of a presence or whatever. But when football was taken away from me, which I was told was for life because I got these stitches in my eye, I broke down crying because I said, well, there's nothing else I enjoy doing, and this is where my heart lies. But everything in life happens for a reason. And that year was the year I started Rory Stories because I had a bit of extra time, and started making them GA sketches back in 2014 that went viral. And I kind of I went back playing football in 2015 after my year out, but my commitment wasn't there because I was tunnel vision with Rory Stories. And I played second team football then for a couple of years and I really enjoyed it. Great bunch of lads. And I went back playing a bit of junior last year. I just played one match this year, relegation battle from last year. So I don't know if I play much more this year. But yeah, like I love football. Like I just love the competitive team sport where, that feeling when you win a match, we all walk off and you have a big hug. That's, you can't replace that, unfortunately, with your own training. Like you just can't. Like, but no, I love the GAA and especially football. Like it's definitely something close to my heart. Like,
yeah. And what about watching sports on TV? Would you like to sit down and just watch different sports? And the reason why I'm asking that is, like as an escapism.
Yeah. So, the best escapism in the world is turning off your mobile phone. Like I think everyone will relate to that. Like because if I really want to watch something, I leave my phone in a different room. And because listen, we're all young. We're in that generation where the flicking and the scrolling is just so constant. So because I find even if like say I'm watching something on RTE, something that you heard was good or whatever it may be, or Netflix show, and on a break, I'll have a scroll, but then your mind is automatically taken away from the moment and you start to look at shit and then you're gone. Yeah. So what I do now is I just, if I want to watch a good episode of Netflix, I say, right, phone away and watch it. And that's because my attention span and all that, that's what I got to do. So I do the same with a match. Like if there's a big match in the telly, phone away. I kind of stopped tweeting during matches now because it distracts me from the match. So I gave up on that. Like, and plus, like Twitter is such a dangerous kip of a platform anyway. God, so
that's torque. Yeah.
I generally don't really tweet anymore, and I actually got in stage now where I actually uninstalled Twitter for a week or so every now and just good luck to you. And I come on the odd time and just check and see it, and then I delete it again. It's just. For me, it's just it never was my best friend Twitter anyway. Even the videos never really went well on Twitter around like that. So it's such a kip. It really is. Like, and I'd probably delete it only for like it's good for kind of when I'm doing shows or sort of that, good for positive feedback. But other than that, like I've no interest in Twitter at all. Like,
Yeah, I was talking to Jason Bourne yesterday, and he's the same. He always says that as well. Like, I mean, he just doesn't find Twitter a healthy place for him as well, like, and it's not, I don't find it is either. I mean, I've always been kind of I've always liked being on Twitter, but in the last while, since I've started doing the mental health stuff, I've just found that my like on interactions and mentions have just gone to zero. You know what I mean? And
people
just
like it's especially like with Jason and myself, especially when you're a comedian, like obviously when you're a comedian, like you're obviously Marmite, you either like you or you don't. And Twitter is a very easy place to get lashed over, which I have, and I know Jason has as well, and so that. So yeah, it's just not nice. Like, so like just leave it be. Like I've my Instagram's a massive following there, Facebook, YouTube. There's enough there. Like I don't need to. And listen, I guarantee if you took out your phone now, you wouldn't scroll for 10 seconds without seeing something negative. Like I guarantee.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's the same. It's just a great platform for people to give out. And I'm all about positive vibes. I believe in law of attraction. I believe that, you attract positive and negative equally. And I just don't have any time for negative. I just try to be positive because I do believe that if you're a positive human being, you live a better life. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's what I believe myself. So yeah, Twitter, it's just less of it, the better, really. Like,
Yeah, I actually literally just before we came on here, I made that tweet because I actually put a tweet out saying, does anyone have any questions they wanted me to ask it? And nobody replied. And I even kind of replied to that myself saying, you know what, I've been thinking a lot about just giving up Twitter and just staying on Instagram.
It's funny to see that because I deleted it there yesterday before, so I wouldn't have even seen that.
Did you?
I mean? Yeah. So you're probably thinking, Jace, Rory was into. It's not even on my phone, Twitter at the
Right.
minute. Like, oh, and
Yeah.
I probably won't install it for another week or so. So I just no time for it really. Like,
Yeah, the amount of people I've blocked on, and I said that exact thing that you said a few minutes ago. I said it yesterday to somebody. I had to block someone yesterday because I made a joke, and I just got like, and I was like, you know what, fuck off, and I had to block them. And I just said it afterwards, like, do you know what? I have no time for this negative nonsense. I've no tolerance for it anymore. Since I
yeah,
started doing this, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I just don't have time for this anymore.
yeah.
You
No,
know?
you're better off just ignoring it because
Yeah,
generally, like with hate and negativity, which is I've understood. So I'm actually really good at hate now. Like I used to struggle with it, but I'm grand with it now because I know that it's the person who's thrown at the hate has big issues in their own mind. That's what
yeah,
I understand. Like, so that's
yeah,
once you can accept that, if you're a lot more peaceful in your mind. Like, say, listen, they just saying you're not funny. Like, they're not saying they're not saying you're not funny. They're saying I don't find you funny in a nasty way. Like, it's basically
yeah,
what they're saying.
yeah. That's
Like
gas. Like Ricky Gervais, he always says stuff like that when he gets kind of negative stuff. He's like, well, like this doesn't mean the joke's not funny. It just means you don't find it funny. It's your issue. It's not mine.
Well, it's nail on the head, like, and
Yeah,
like, oh, it's such an Irish thing, like, I never, like, there's loads of comedians that I don't find funny, but I would never say they're not funny because
yeah,
it's all about, like, there's loads of slices of the pie, like, and
yeah,
like I just have to say to myself, like, whenever you do, it's like, well, Rory, like, I have over 1 million followers in Ireland, which is a small place, so some people certainly do find you funny, and that's why you just ignore it, like,
yeah,
and don't try and something that I've gotten really good at in the last couple of years is don't adapt your comedy to try and please everyone because
yeah,
you won't.
yeah,
So just keep doing what you feel works, and that's made my life a bit easier now. Like I'll be outrageous. Some of the stuff I do, I don't find funny myself, but I know my audience. Like, if you
right,
get me,
okay,
and,
yeah,
and I know what they like. I'd make a simple little sketch and I'm like, oh, that's harmless. But I put it online and I go viral, like, because I know my audience, like,
yeah,
and I relate to them, and I know people, like, all my friends are similar humored people, so I know I get the crack, like, and
yeah,
that's what it's all about. It's just accepting that not everyone is going to like you. And I say that to school kids. It says the number one thing you need to understand in life is not everyone is going to like you. I know it's not nice, and it's not your fault. You could be the nicest person in the world, sitting on a bench, handing out 99s and waving at people, and they'll call you a fucking idiot. Like, you know what I mean?
mm,
So, people just have to understand that. Just be yourself. And what happens then is you just go to bed a lot happier. Like, you know what I mean? Where if you're trying to be someone you're not, you lie in bed, tossing and turning, going, why did I say that? Like, that wasn't me. I was just trying to please them. Off. Geez, I don't care about anyone anymore. And that's the biggest gift in life, is having that I don't care what you think attitude.
yeah,
And I have it to an extent. Obviously, I'm human and there is certain stuff that we'll get into, but in general, I am very good at just saying, whatever you think yourself, good luck. Like, do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's important for young people, especially, like.
Yeah, it is. Well, look, before the two of us melt into puddles
Yeah,
here, we better chat about your Rory stories before we let you go. You see, you started in 2014. Well, I read an interview you did where you said you kind of I can't remember the guy's name, but you went and met someone and you was kind of saying this, and you need to find something to kind of substitute the gambling.
yeah,
And you kind of started your comedy. But did you always want to do comedy, or was it kind of just something that happened?
yeah.
Or
Like we're all good. We're all good at things in life, and there's a lot of things I'm very bad at. But naturally, making people laugh in an environment was always my bread and butter. Like, whether it be school, whether it be got me in a lot of trouble in school. I remember being kicked out of class and awful lot, but the teacher would be laughing, kicking me out, going, "Geez, you're a gas man, but get out." So it's just my natural ability is just to say the funny thing at the right time, and I never, it's just naturally what I do, and I've accepted that now, and I just work hard on it. But for a long time, I just felt I was so crap. Like, I have the worst pair of DIY hands ever. Like, you wouldn't believe how, like there's a massive part of my brain that just does not work. Like I call it the simple thing. So like even we were cleaning out a barbecue yesterday and my dad says, Rory, just go up and put that into its position. And you won't believe where I put it up. And my dad was like, what the fuck's that doing there? I was like, well, Rory. And when he put it into his position, I was like, oh, that makes sense. He goes, Jays, I'd worry about you at times. And like years ago, that would have dented my confidence. But now I'm really good at just accepting I'm shy at this. That's, you know what I mean? And like, even like, I'll give you another example. I was sending out books there before Christmas to a few people. And the woman in the post box says, here, there's a box. And she gave me the box and it was flat and you had to build it like very simple to the average Joe. But I was stressing in the corner of the post office.
I should be laughing, sorry.
no, but it is funny. Like usually like I'd be looking at it and I might as well be looking at double Chinese language. I was like, oh my God. And I knew it was simple, but years ago, I used to be ashamed of that. And I'd be like, you know, I'd say, you know, I don't need the box. And I'd walk out and I'd be, oh, there you are, Rory, you really are stupid. But now I just turn and go, listen, I haven't a clue how this works. Would you mind showing me? And they both started laughing. And I'd be like, and when they done it, it was absolutely like my 5-year-old would do it or my 7-year-old would do it. But to me, it was rocket science. But that's okay, like, you know, and like with the sketches I do or whatever I do, like some people would find that impossible to do, but that comes natural to me. And that's the key thing with life is accepting you're not going to be good at everything, like, and just dealing with that. Irish people we've such egos when it comes to no, as I do that, no bother. But no, like it's okay not to be able to do it. But when you do find something that all of us are naturally good at something, no matter you mightn't have found it yet, but we all are.
Yeah.
And when you do find it, that's when you have to work hard. Like, you know, that's as simple. And like, again, even now, my wife does all, when a thing comes in from IKEA, I just stand back and I'm the laborer. I don't even look at the instructions. I get a migraine if I look at instructions. And if I need any DIY jobs around the house, they ring me out. I said, that, you know, yourself, come down here, give us a hand. And that's okay. Like, you know, there used to be a macho man Irish, Jays, I'll fix that, not a bother to me. Like, but like, it's okay to have a shy pair of hands. Like, do you know what I mean? Don't worry about it. It's grand. Like, and that's what I've accepted in the last few years, you know, that it's okay to be crap at certain things, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's what we were talking about earlier, just about being, you know, acceptance and accepting things, because that's, you know, like you're talking about the box and running out of the post office. Like I used to do that with so many things, and that's just it was my anxiety would go through the roof.
Through the roof.
I
remember when I was doing an electrical apprenticeship, and I was asked, we were doing assembling like a panel, and I swear to God, there was a screw and a bigger hole as you want and a screwdriver. And I was flying through all these, and I could see the floor manager coming up behind me looking, and the sweat just started to go clean down my back and my hands started to shake, and I dropped the screw 3 times in front of him and he walked off tutting to himself. In other words, geez, that lad's useless. But for me, that's my issue of my demon from school. So like that's literally it. So like it reminded me of a teacher asking me to read, and I couldn't read properly. I was very slow at reading. And so that still was there. And I done an apprenticeship when I was 19 or 20. And literally, like when there was no one watching, like I was grand. Once someone watches me, my mind just explodes, and I have no confidence. I barely even be able to spell my name. Like my mind just goes blank, like, you know. And it's horrible, like, but again, it's something I'm living with and I'm learning all the time. Like, you get me, like.
Yeah. And do you do anything else? I mean, like kind of mindfulness or meditation or even yoga or?
I don't, but you know, I want to get into it, you know. I do, like, and I know it's going to do me the world of good, like, especially the meditating seems to be really a positive impact on people at the minute, and it's something that I definitely do want to start doing. It's like I'm like just such full on or not. So if I start something, I give it 100%. If I don't, I won't bother. But I need to be in the right mindset to start it.
Yeah.
And then, but no, listen, like, you know better than I do, but I know it will benefit me because I have such, I call it a wired mind. Like I'm always like, like I never, my mind, like ADHD, like my mind is just like, whoa. And I find it very hard to concentrate, if you get me, like, so, Yeah, but listen, I definitely know I'm doing with the world of good anyway.
Yeah, I'd say maybe the mindfulness might actually help you a bit. I suppose you never know, until you try. Like I've only started trying yoga in the last few months. Never done yoga in my life, but like I'm brutal at mindfulness and meditation. I'm shocking at it. Just my mind wanders. Do you know what I mean? Just trying to just to try to
Yeah, no,
focus on something.
and
I'm
that's
brutal.
what but again, that's the attention span. But what app would you use now for mindfulness? Is there an app you get and you just press into it and it goes through stuff with you? Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's two. I use Calm, like it's literally just called Calm, CALM,
yeah,
and it's brilliant. But there's another one called Headspace, which most people seem to use. I just use Calm.
I must download it and give it. But I'm like you, like it's like in the classroom, like the teacher be going through something, and I'd be out wondering how many birds are in that nest out in the tree. Like, that's the way I've always been with attention span. So it's difficult, like, to kind of concentrate unless I'm fully engrossed. Like, do you know what I mean? I see this conversation, I'm engrossed because it's what I'm passionate about. It. But if we
yeah.
were talking about like whatever, I just be like, "Oh, go away, will you?" I'm nodding the head, but the lights are off upstairs.
Yeah,
You know that
yeah,
kind of way.
yeah. I remember the episode of The Simpsons. Well, it was Homer, wasn't it? Where there's like a monkey just clapping the things in his head,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his
yeah,
brain is
yeah.
gone.
Oh yeah, like that'd be my brain 70% of the day. Like, to be honest with you, like, but
Yeah,
when I'm tuned in, I'm like, even like, so another good one is I have two close friends. One is a very high up guard, and one is a qualified solicitor. Very intellectual, intelligent lads. And when we're having a conversation in a pub, like about whatever, they have to bring it down to my level. So they'd be saying all these words. I'd be like, lads, come on now, fuck's sake. But once they like, so they'd say something, then they turn around and they break remedial, say it to me, like. But once they do, like, I'm very clever in the conversation, and the points I would make, to be like, oh, that's actually a very good point. And so, in other words, I'm not stupid. Like, I would have thought for years I'm stupid. It's just I don't understand because I wasn't good in school, and I spent a lot of my time out of the classroom. But I actually am very smart, but I just needed to be brought down to my level of wording and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of words I don't understand because I didn't really go to school. I done LCA, and that's as far as I went. So, but again, for years I just thought I was stupid. But it's not. You're only stupid unless you're told. Do you get me? Like, and that's something I've learned now is to just say, lads, would you mind just give me another example? But I have you now, yeah. And then we continued the conversation. Where for years I just like be in a conversation going, I haven't a clue what anyone is talking about here, but I'll just let on because they'll just think I'm stupid. But now, like, I just say, lads, do you mind to stop and say, will you just give us another? Basically, Rory, it's like this. Oh, have you now? And then off I go again. And
yeah,
but that came with confidence, and
yeah,
that's why, like, my self belief, because, like, listen, I often say, well, I'm obviously not stupid. I have 3 best-selling books. Like, how could a stupid person do that? You know what I mean? So
there you
that's
go.
why I have that and that's why I wrote, especially the first book, was to have that thing to lean on to say, you're not stupid. You just need to ask a few more questions. And that once you understand it, boom, I have you now. Right, let's continue this conversation. And that's the way my mind works anyway.
Yeah, but you're probably a very visual person. Like for me, like I wouldn't. I like. I'm okay, but I'd be more a visual person. So for someone to explain something, or if I wanted, if I wanted something explained to me, I'd rather someone drew a picture than write
Yeah,
instructions out. If you know what I mean. So
yeah,
you're
yeah.
probably
But
just a visual person.
now you said it, yeah. Like, so even like if I was doing like a video for a brand or whatever, and my manager would send over the brief, and from the brand, I would be like, right, I'm not even attempting to read that. He'd ring me and he'd bring it down to my level, and then, right, I have it now, and then I'd come up with a great idea, whatever. But for years, I would have been like reading it, and like you'd be literally coming in the head and spitting out either ear, going, I'm not taking in any of this here. Like, what is
Yeah,
going on? So,
yeah,
uh, well, listen, it's something that I'm learning, especially with the ADHD, and that it's something that I only found out recently that a couple of my cousins have been diagnosed well, and
yeah,
we're all just learning more about it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just a shame we have to be in our mid-30s and 40s to learn more about it. I wish we had known more about when we were 10 or 12.
yeah,
But that's why I like to be one of the people to try and pave the way for the young generation coming,
yeah,
that do suffer and don't get on well in school, to be able to kind of look and say, well, it's like Rory there that that can't really read or spell, but Jesus, he's doing all right. You know what I mean? And just try to be that shining light for people who struggle a bit. You know, that kind of way.
Yeah. Listen, Rory, you're an absolute inspiration. Don't be listening to all that other. Don't be listening to the negative thoughts in your head, and don't be listening to the negative thoughts of other people. Like, what you've done is absolutely fucking incredible. So, I mean, like for anyone to say anything to you.
That. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and listen, it's great to chat. And as I said, you're obviously doing a great thing, and you're speaking about important stuff. So it's a bit like listen to yourself as well. What you said to me about like not being bogged down with Twitter, like it's not worth it. Like, do you know what I mean? If it's affecting you, just delete it. That's what I do. Do you know what I mean? If it's not having a good effect on your mental well-being, fuck off with your Twitter. Good luck to you. I don't need you. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the way I look at it anyway. You know.
Yeah. Right. Let's wrap this up. Have you anything that you want to mention? Like, usually, for every episode of the podcast I usually like kind of let the guest have the final word on us. If any inspirational thoughts or anything that you want to say, but you've said loads, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But if you've anything else that you want to mention, you can do it now.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's like, I suppose my only advice is just to kind of find the real person you are. Like, just be honest with yourself. And just try be happy. And if you are struggling, like, you know, that it is okay to feel like that. And, you know, like we were mentioning about the amount of feedback in that video I done proves you're not the only one that has these thoughts. And so don't be ashamed to talk about it, because what genuinely happen is, if you are the leading light and you put your hand in the air, a lot of your mates will follow you, being like, Jesus, like I thought you were bulletproof. I didn't think you'd be anyway like that. And so, no, and then what happens then is it's a domino effect. You know what I mean? It starts to everyone starts to help each other. And that's my main mission. Like, I love the comedy and I love storytelling and all, but my main real mission is to just make people understand that it is all right to have negative thoughts, and no matter how negative they are, just talk about them, because it's the only way you'll make yourself feel a bit better, you know?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. Right, guys, we'll wrap that up. We will be back for another podcast someday next week. I haven't finalized a day yet, but I just want to thank Rory for coming on, because that was really, really good. And we've been actually here a while, so that's actually, it's longer than I thought. So fair play, Rory. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no, well able to talk anyway. No bother with that.
Right, guys, we leave that there, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.